Welcome to Mélomani's virtual season. I'm Kim Reighley, flutist and co-artistic director.
I'm Tracy Richardson, harpsichordist and co-artistic director. We miss seeing you in person this season, and we hope you are well. This season, we will offer you a series of 5 free streamed programs.
Each program brings you Mélomani's provocative pairings of early music and contemporary music. They will include Baroque music, solos, duos, music from our living composers, and short interviews with the composers.
We have 3 new CDs of contemporary music to sample for you this season. The first is Ultraviolet, with 5 pieces for the ensemble.
A Hint of Light Remains has 4 duos written for Tracy and me, and Up to the Light has the 4 large-scale pieces written by Mark Hagerty for our ensemble and guests.
Visit our website at mélomanie.org for further information on our programs, to hear the longer composer interviews, and for further information on our CDs.
Each CD comes with a beautiful insert of program notes and special artwork. We hope you'll enjoy our programs this season.
Hello, and welcome to our program. You've just heard a movement from Telemann's A Major Paris Quartet. You're about to hear 3 more pieces. 2 are for flute and harpsichord from the new CD called A Hint of Light Remains. They are excerpts from Sergio de Oliveira's The 4 Gifts of God and Mark Hagerty's Trefoil. We also have an excerpt of Bonnie McAlvin's Sandstone Peak, written for the whole ensemble. It's part of our new CD entitled Ultraviolet. Entwined with the music, you'll get to hear interviews with Bonnie and Mark. We hope you enjoy the beautiful new music.
Hello, welcome to our Mélomanie video. My name is Tracy Richardson. I'm the harpsichordist in Mélomanie.
And I'm Kim Reighley. the flutist for Mélomanie, and we are both very excited to join Bonnie McAlvin and have a
Happy to be here.
great.
Bonnie is a composer, of course, and she has composed a special piece for Mélomanie. The premiere was March 2017, and it's called Sandstone Peak. And Bonnie, I wonder if you would tell us why it's called Sandstone Peak.
Yes. So when I began writing the piece, I was planning to go to Los Angeles for the Los Angeles Film Festival because the film that I had scored would be premiering there. So I researched the area, and I like to go hiking when I'm traveling. So I went to, Google and looked up mountains, and I had this thought in my mind about this piece, and I found Sandstone Peak, and the name Sandstone appealed to me. I mean, I do like sandstone as a stone, but the two words separate, sand, stone, was what was really deeply appealing to me at the time, because I was going through kind of a betrayal sort of situation, and so I was thinking stone turning to sand. So there's something that you're aiming for that's solid, that you're gonna try to achieve, and then it just disappears underneath your fingers. So I thought, this is the mountain I think I'm just gonna hike, and so that's how I ended up going there.
As we know, and our listeners will know soon, Sandstone Peak, the piece that you wrote for Mélomanie, has 4 movements, and each movement has a very evocative title. And it would be wonderful for you to share your thoughts about how those titles came to be and your inspiration.
Sure. I think that each of the movements is kind of a commentary on the idea of erosion. So the first movement is called illusion, and I guess that was me setting up this idea that we can see a goal, we can see something we want, and it may appear permanent and reachable, but it could disappear any moment. And so that first movement is more of a negative kind of stance on erosion.
Mm-hmm.
The second movement is called conversation, and that's the opposite. It's more of a positive view of what erosion is, because when you have a conversation with other people, parts of you come off and change also. So it's a two-way exchange in a really good conversation. You're growing, the other people are growing. So we are losing stuff. We're changing our mind when we have conversation. But we're also gaining. So that's the second movement, and the music is much more comforting generally in the second movement than the other movements. The third movement is called Throne of Sand, and in that case, that's literally the throne would be this goal, this imaginary goal that we want to reach for, and then we find out it's made of sand. The music is very ironic. Also, definitely was colored by political events at the time of its composition. So ironic. There's definitely some anger in there in that music that's very much hidden beneath the notes. And then the fourth movement is again, so then the fourth movement is another positive stance on the idea of erosion. So it's kind of like a checkerboard, the illusion, conversation, throne of sand, and then the fourth movement is again a positive, like the conversation, second movement. So the second and the fourth. So the fourth is more about a sense of feeling exaltation, and there's a really vivid feeling of, I guess climbing is actually really represented actually in this movement. And there are also many particles. It's fugue. There's a lot of fugue in the fourth movement. So there's a subject and a counter subject, and they all wrestle with one another the way a fugue does. And it culminates in a really, really strong climbing motive. And so that movement is called Everywhere at Once. And so that is more thinking, I was really inspired by the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So the idea of being everywhere at once is a way of understanding erosion, again, in a positive light, that we are going to lose. We're going to lose things. We'll lose people. We'll lose positions and status. And we can feel sad about it. But if you can imagine that it's all these things are actually everywhere at once,
Yes.
we can get beyond the grief.
Today in our video, we're going to play for you the first half of the second movement, Conversation. And it's very beautiful. And in it, you're going to hear a beautiful glissando, by half steps. That's what a glissando is. Or, if you're doing a glissando on the piano, you just take your hand and go ring, over the white keys. Well, anyway, this glissando is started by the cello in his high range, but he goes up, 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 and then the harpsichord, and that's me, gets to take it up and take it even higher and finish it. Just goes up into the air. Thank you. And you know, Bonnie's piece, Sandstone Peak, along with 4 other pieces, are going to be all together in Mélomanie's one of our 3 new CDs that are coming out. And you're going to be on the album whose title is Ultraviolet. Well, thank you for talking with us today. And it's really just great to see you and to hear your voice again. And I enjoy listening to Sandstone Peak very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great to see you, Bonnie.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to our program today. I'm Tracy Richardson, and I'm the harpsichordist with Mélomanie. I'm also co-artistic director with Kim Reighley. Mélomanie has a new CD, A Hint of Light Remains, and its duos for flute and harpsichord. And we're here today to talk with composer Mark Hagerty about 2 of the pieces on our new CD. And the 2 pieces are Mark's Trefoil and The 4 Gifts of God by our Brazilian friend, Sergio Roberto de Oliveira. Many of you knew Sergio, and he died prematurely of cancer about 3 years ago. It's a huge loss for us and for everyone who knew him. And it's a loss personally and musically. And so we have dedicated our new CD to him in his memory.
Well, I'm Kim Reighley, and I'm the flutist with Mélomanie, and as Tracy mentioned, co-artistic director. And of course, we're both very excited to talk about both Mark and Sergio's music. Mark and Sergio engaged in many collaborative projects over the course of time together and conversed for hours about music. And we've asked Mark to talk today about Sergio's music as well as his own. So by way of an introduction, Mark, you have written, this is wonderful, 14 pieces for the Mélomanie Ensemble to date. And we thank you for the newest edition, our duo, Trefoil. So maybe you can give us a little bit of a background on your relationship with Sergio and also our ensemble.
Well, thank you, Kim. It's really good to be here, and I'm so happy to be part of this project. Sergio was a resident of Rio de Janeiro, city he loved. He was one of Mélomanie's most important collaborators. He himself wrote 9 pieces for Mélomanie, and those included pieces for the whole ensemble, solo pieces, duos. He even wrote a piece that included the Philadelphia-based Brazilian duo Minas. For me, Sergio was my musical brother. We did have a lot of conversations about music and other things, and we drank a lot of cachaça. And we did 2 CDs together that Sergio produced. And we had a wonderful 3rd CD planned, and that one wasn't to be. All this started in 2003 when Tracy and I traveled to Rio for a concert that she gave at Unirio, which is the federal university of the state of Rio de Janeiro. She premiered Sergio's Suite for Solo Harpsichord and my Clavier Book 3. Sergio visited here many times. We saw him in Brazil many times. He attended lots of Mélomanie concerts, as he had reason to do, having been featured in many of them. And I think all of us became great friends.
Very true. And our duo CD, Sergio's piece, The 4 Gifts of God, is, I believe, the only piece on the CD which is scored for Baroque flute and harpsichord, as opposed to the modern instrument, which offers us a wide array of colors and a sweetness and purity that instrument has, which I just love so much. And at the end of the first movement, one interesting note, which you'll actually hear on our program, first movement being called Breath, he asks me to create the sound of breathing at the end of the movement by breathing in and then breathing out through the instrument, to give it's really quite haunting programmatic effect. So Mark, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the 4 Gifts of God.
Sure. Starting with the title, Sergio said he didn't have any specific religion or religious tenets in mind. Sergio was more spiritual than religious. The 4 movements are breath, light, creation, and action. Taken together, they're an extended meditation on creation itself, starting with the creation of humans, moving on to humans' creation and creation of art, to include art that reflects back on the creation of humanity. In the extended 3rd movement, creation, he quotes 7 composers: Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Schoenberg, Stravinsky, the Brazilian Villa-Lobos, and he threw me in there too.
Just as Sergio quotes Mark in his movement, Mark in his duo piece Trefoil quotes Sergio. Mark, let's change the conversation around to your new piece for alto, flute, and harpsichord, Trefoil.
So first about the title, a trefoil is a plant with 3 leaves, or trifolium, clover, for example. By extension, it's a 3-lobed opening in architecture, or an ornament, 3-lobed ornament in architecture. And I guess by extension, again, it's a piece of 3 movements for alto, flute, and harpsichord. This project started about 6 years ago. I wrote a piece for Kim and Tracy called Context. And we knew at the time, even though it got played many times as a freestanding piece, that it really should be part of a larger piece. And that's so we extended it, and Context is now the middle movement. The first movement, Impulse, asks some different things from these instruments than you might ordinarily hear. There's some dark energy and some explosive rhythms and, sort of percussive effects. Very brief. And the alto gets up into its upper range and makes some really harsh noises, which are great. Context is now the slow movement. That's a bit of a feel of a barcarolle or a boat ride, but it takes a very simple musical idea and repeats it over ever-changing musical contexts so that idea takes on new meanings over the course of the piece.
Beautiful.
Then the last movement, Homage, is written to honor the memory of our friend Sergio Roberto de Oliveira, and it's based entirely on a short theme for flute in his Fantasia for solo flute. In his original, that theme gets a very serious, modern, very interesting, somewhat elaborate treatment, but the theme itself is kind of jazzy and kind of has kind of a popular Brazilian feel to it. So let's hear that theme right now.
You bet.
Thank you. So in homage, I took the pitches, the notes of that theme and rearranged them melodically and harmonically, and I took little bits of that theme and made them into motifs or building blocks. But again, everything in that movement comes directly out of Sergio's theme. And then about halfway through the movement, we actually hear the theme quoted directly. And so we take a little bit more of a Brazilian pop direction with it, and it gets some samba rhythms, and it gets a little bit of jazz-infused harmony, which is kind of what happens in bossa nova. And those rhythms are very peculiar to Brazil, and maybe a little hard to play.
Maybe for us classically trained musicians.
It is hard, but you guys nailed it, and so we do get that lilt, a little bit of a feeling of Rio. But the overall feeling of the movement, despite all that, is one of that can be covered by the Portuguese word saudades. It's kind of a special word in their language that refers to a melancholy longing for a thing, or more likely a person who is absent. And yet, despite that, we wanted to end on an upbeat note. So it does end with positive, upbeat energy that reflects on the amazing energy that Sergio had and the lasting impact that he had on all of us who were lucky enough to know him and work with him.
Thanks so much for talking with us today, not only about your music, but also about Sergio's. It's greatly appreciated, and we're very fortunate to be able to perform that on our new CDs.
Thank you.
And Mark, would you let us sign off with the dedication to our friend?
Saudades, querido amigo.
Thanks for being with us today. If you'd like to hear the longer versions of our composer interviews, please visit our website. Best wishes to you, stay well, and I hope you get to listen to beautiful music every day.